Back when I first started high school, there was a major battle going on in the technology industry between operating systems. We had OS X, we had Microsoft Windows, and we had GNU+Linux. There was a constant war going on between these three camps as to what operating system was the best. You have to keep in mind, this was 15 years ago, before the operating system, before the web really became what it is today. And also before smartphones really came into their own. Because in addition to these three, in the mobile landscape, we've got Google's Android and iOS. It seems that Mac versus PC has taken a bit of a back seat. Not to say that it's been eliminated, but it's taken a bit of a back seat to the mobile space that runs between Android and iOS, and to some extent to Microsoft's Windows Phone. Although Windows Phone is like a fly on the windshield for the most part. So this was basically how things were for the last 15 or so years. But over time, things changed dramatically. What do you guys do when you get onto your computers in the morning? I'm sure a lot of you probably end up going on Facebook or Twitter. In my case, as a PhD student, the other day I used Google Drive to present a presentation on cognitive load in my class. And I've been using Google Docs to take notes for interviews back before I started my PhD. You've also got Office 365, which at the moment I'm doing for some graduate assistantship work. I'm using Excel, but from a personal standpoint, I would not use Excel unless I was forced to, because I much prefer things like Google Sheets or OpenOffice.org. But Google Sheets and OpenOffice.org, for the basics, everything is covered. Except for something like if you have to go super advanced. But even then, Microsoft and other cloud-based outfits like Google, you've got, I don't know what Apple calls theirs, Numbers, that's it. Apple's got Numbers, Microsoft's obviously got Excel for the cloud, Google has got Sheets. All three of those would be perfectly usable for the average layman. And the other thing to note is all of these are cross-platform. Microsoft's Office software will run on anything now. They've got it for Android. They've got it for iOS. These are things that under former CEO Steve Ballmer never would have happened. I think what must have happened is he missed the boat with the change of technology. It's no longer about the operating system. Because as I just stated, Google's Office will run on anything. Microsoft Office 365 will pretty much run on anything. I could load up Office in a browser now and begin working. I could load Office on my Mac or on my iPhone or my Galaxy and begin working. So it's no longer the operating system, but it's more of the service. What do you need to have done? Because these days, everything is being stored in the cloud, especially on an enterprise, from an enterprise perspective. The younger workers are used to the flexibility they've always had, and being able to work from anywhere is a real boon for them, for businesses, and as a result, we've got cloud storage options like OneDrive. I know here it says SkyDrive, but this was an older photo. I personally utilize Google Drive, and from time to time I use Dropbox. I've never touched OneDrive or iCloud Drive, though that could change. But I can tell you something. When I was creating that presentation in Google Slides the other day, I was able to get on my Mac, put the finishing touches on it in the morning, get onto Google Drive on my iPhone on the bus, on the paratransit bus going into school, load it up, take a look at the slides. When I got there, because I was early before class, and I was able to take a look again. And then when all was said and done, I was able to load it up from Google Drive on the school computer. I didn't have to worry about incompatibility of thumb drives. And with the cloud storage, it makes it a whole lot easier to work on the move, especially where iOS is concerned, because of their proprietary nature. But these days, I don't think it matters. I don't think operating system matters anymore. What matters is, does the platform do what I need it to do? And I think that's where the general consumer really is thinking. They're not thinking about specs. They're not thinking about this OS war that, to be honest, I think is dead. I think it really is dead. I mean, it's not 100% dead, obviously. I think it's going to continue. But it's nowhere near the raging fire that it used to be. And another way, for those of you that don't like the cloud storage, another way to take a look at this is we've got these wireless USB flash drives. Like this SanDisk example, the 64 gigabyte wireless flash drive. It says for smartphones and tablets. But let's take a look at this. Instantly increase mobile device storage, yada, yada, yada. Easily manage content with the wireless flash drive. Here's where you want to take note. Works with iPad, iPhone, Kindle Fire, and Android devices, and PC and Mac computers. That covers everything. That covers Mac OS X, Microsoft Windows, GNU+Linux, Google Android, Apple iOS, and even, I was going to say it does cover Windows Phone, but to be honest, Windows Phone is less than 10. I think it's less than 5% of the overall market. And if you're looking at this from a business perspective, in terms of how are we going to reach the biggest user base, Windows Phone is not it. But that OneDrive is compatible with all these separate platforms, rendering the platform itself obsolete. And these days, I have to tell you, when I switch on my computer, I go immediately to Gmail. I go immediately to my university email. I go immediately to a news app. None of these apps have anything locally stored. Everything's all on remote servers, because this way, especially where the news is concerned, it's able to update in real time. And so I personally think that the operating system in itself, it'll always be important because it's the backbone of hardware. But in terms of this, war going on between Mac, PC, GNU+Linux, Android, iOS, and Windows Phone, I think those days are over. With the exception of Windows Phone, it doesn't matter what platform you pick. You can pretty much do anything you need on any of them. Now, I will put in a caveat. I will say that there are things available for Windows Phone that can get the job done, but from what I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand, Windows Phone doesn't have the penetration of the other platforms, and therefore the chances of you getting something done, like if you wanted to offload something from this, let's say you plug in your flash drive to your Mac and you want to upload it onto your Android device, well, thanks to this app that the drive is utilized with, you can do that without a problem. So if you wanted to have both local and wireless storage, you can do that. It's cross-compatible with everything, but like I said, Windows Phone, not so much, and you can't blame the manufacturers. The truth is, Windows Phone just doesn't have the market share needed to really make a dent. BlackBerry's even worse. But no, I think that the operating system battle, that's pretty much dead. I can tell you that as a PhD student, my concern isn't what operating system I use. It's what can I use to get what I need to do done and fits my needs as a student who is partially blind. Android and iOS and Mac and Windows all do a really good job at this. And it's getting to the point, I think, where operating system is going to be irrelevant. What do you guys think? Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome, and have a nice day.